And we're here at the head coach of the men's lacrosse team, Andy Copelan. Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, Ivy. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Coach. The team coming off a one-goal win against Bellarmine, and once again, this team just showing resiliency. You know, you win multiple overtime games. You win one game in the last 13 seconds of the game. What does that say about the character of this team?
I think it says that we got guys in the locker room who are made of the right stuff, and they're willing just to kind of gut out some wins. And Saturday certainly wasn't a pretty one. We were up 5-1 at the half, and then we kind of allowed them to get some momentum and to, credit Bellarmine. They really fought very, very, very hard for a full 4 quarters, and we found ourselves tied with about 25 seconds left on the clock, and Mike Rowe wins a big face-off, and Brent advances the ball into the box. We're able to call a timeout, and then out of the timeout, we just kind of connect freshman Colin McClendon and Eric Warden. Those two guys step up and make a play when we needed one. So just, I kind of tip my hat to those guys and the guys in the locker room. I mean, I think everybody on the sideline there, I think, really believed that we were going to find a way, and that's what happened. So that's kind of Division I athletics, Division I lacrosse certainly these days, is it's every game you got to make sure that you really show up ready to play and just find a way.
You know, Coach, it's these types of wins that, like in an overtime win or a last-minute win, that just adds a special spark to the team that turns a good team into a winning team. Do you hope that that's what can happen to this team?
Yeah, I'm never gonna tip my nose to a 1-goal win. I mean, 1-goal wins are very hard to come by, and right now we have 4 of them. So I think from a growth standpoint and from just kind of getting the guys to really believe in themselves and believe in each other, I mean, I think there's a lot of valuable lessons and experiences that can come from 1-goal wins. So we're fortunate to be on the positive side of those thus far, and right now all our focus is on a very, very, very talented Loyola team.
One last thing about the Bellarmine game. Like you said, you guys were up 5-1 going into the halftime, and then you kind of let Bellarmine get into it. Are you worried about that going into the next part of the season, or would you just say that's collegiate lacrosse nowadays, or do you think that this team loses a little bit focus going into the second half?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's a losing its focus issue. I mean, we've been in positions earlier in this year where we had to overcome a 3-goal halftime deficit and a couple 2-goal halftime deficits. So, it's I think it's one of those learning experiences, and I do think part of it is just Division I athletics, where we'll put together a couple nice spurts, and also you're going to have to go ahead and you're going to have to overcome some other teams' runs, and I'm sure it's going to be the same thing this weekend. Hopefully we can go on a couple 3-4 goal charges, but I'm sure we're going to have to stop the bleeding at some point too when Loyola goes on one of their runs. So it's kind of the natural ebbs and flows of college lacrosse games.
And now, of course, that big game against Loyola, 5th best team in the country. They're undefeated. Just in terms of practice, have you seen the players get more hyped up for this game?
I mean, yes. I mean, I think the obvious. You kind of look at Loyola and they're number 4 in the country, so obviously that makes it a little bit heightened. I mean, I think there's a little bit of a natural rivalry between Loyola and Fairfield, so I think that's kind of a second component. And the third component is it's a big conference game right now, and right now we're all trying to get into the conference tournament. I don't think any team out there has yet solidified a spot. So this thing is going to be a slugfest this weekend. It's going to be a slugfest for the next month, just trying to get back out, to Denver there in early May, and it's you're kind of in the heart of this thing right now. So while we're very proud of our 9-1 start, you also understand that there still is a lot of lacrosse to be played.
Now, is there more of a focus for you as a coach to try and convey that this is just another game, not to try and get the team too pumped up so they make those mistakes in the game?
Yeah, I think when we lost to Colgate earlier in the year, I thought we were a little bit overly emotional, and sometimes that raw emotion can be a good thing, and sometimes that raw emotion can be a bad thing, and I feel like it bit us against Colgate. So I think we have to be careful with how we manage that, certainly, and while this would be a phenomenal win for Fairfield and for Fairfield athletics and certainly for the lacrosse program, it's also not kind of a make or break game. So we just need to kind of worry about making sure that we play at a very high level, we control what we can control, and win or lose, we got 3 more regular season lacrosse games afterwards.
Now 3 more on the Loyola standpoint. You guys beat them in the conference tournament last year. Do you think that they're going to treat this game is more of a rivalry game when they play you guys?
I mean, I'm sure there's motivation from their end. I mean, I think the last team to beat Loyola was Fairfield, and I think the last team to score north of 10 goals against Loyola was Fairfield. So I'm sure that's some of the stuff that they're talking about from their end. And it's, it's again, it's one of those things that right now we can't control. So we're just worrying about making sure that we're playing at a very high level, making sure that we have a very good game plan in for the number 4 team in the country, and they are very deserving of that ranking. They are really impressive to watch.
Now, last one. What does this team need to do in order to upset Loyola?
We need to play for 60 minutes. We need to really fight tooth and nail for ground balls. Right now they're not giving up many goals. They're really sound defensively. I don't think that they're going to do a whole lot of sliding to us. So we're probably going to have to try to score some unassisted goals. We're going to have to shoot the ball well against their goaltender Jack Runkle. We're going to have to really put forth a great effort at the face-off. Right now, that's been one of our team's strengths, but it's also one of Loyola's team's strengths. So that's gonna be a pretty key point of emphasis for both teams, I'm sure. And then we're just gonna have to, not necessarily get into a track meet with those guys. I mean, I think they're really, really, really athletic. So we just have to manage the pace of the game, and that's not to say that we need to play slow. I don't think we need to play slow. In fact, I really want us to be opportunistic and try to score in unsettleds. But we got to try to force them to play half-field offense, and then in return we got to be very efficient with the ball. Because I think that's how they've been keeping teams to a low number. Is first of all, they kind of limit the number of possessions the other teams have, and then they're just very sound defensively. So I don't know that we need to overcook a game plan. I think we need to do what we do, and I'm sure we can expect them to kind of stay the course as to who they are too. So I think it's just going to be 2 pretty talented teams going after it pretty good.